welcome back to lashes-and-cream.com. So I'm finally doing my favorites video of 2014. I've been wanting to do this for like a couple of weeks and I've only just had the time to prepare all of this for you guys for today. So I'm going to dive right into this. I don't have that many products just because I don't want to make this a very long video because I don't like to. So I'm really going to focus on stuff that I've used a lot on myself, some only on myself, some only on my clients, and some on both myself and my clients. So I'm going to start with some skincare. Not much happening here because usually when I find a product that I love, I tend to stick to it. So I have two moisturizers that I've rotated around throughout this year, well, the past year, which are Clarins, the multi-active, what's it called in English? The multi-active day cream, which is for early wrinkle correction. I love this moisturizer. It's super rich. I kind of felt it was a little too rich in the summer and the humidity in the summer, but still I love how hydrated my skin feels when I wear it. It feels very luxurious on the skin, and it kind of feels a little bit silicone-y, so I tend to not wear primer when I wear this, before I apply foundation, I mean. So I love this. I thank my mom for this because she used to wear this a few years ago. And another one that I've talked about in a previous video is this one, the LIERAC Initiatic cream, which I love. It's the early wrinkle correction, energizing smoothing cream. This feels very different from the Clarins one in a sense that it's much more light in texture. It's just as fragrant. I love the smell of this. This one feels more like a cooling gel compared to the Clarins one. So they both feel super different, and I love them both for different reasons. So I think this would probably do better in the summertime because it feels lighter on the skin. But I definitely feel that it does not act as a primer the same way. Well, they're not meant to be primers in any way, but I tend to use my moisturizer as a primer. I tend to skip primer most of the time. And with the LIERAC one, I don't feel that I can get away with skipping primer the same way that I do with the Clarins one. So I have to wear primer when I wear this. My skin feels super soft when I wear it. It feels very supple and elastic, if you know what I mean. So definitely love both of these. Speaking of primers, now the following couple of products that I'm going to talk about are not exactly primers because I tend to use MAC's Prep and Prime on everybody, whether you have dry skin or oily skin. I feel that it really, really helps the foundation stick. It really helps smooth out your skin texture before you apply the foundation. So this one is a given. I always use it. Now, to make the skin glowy, on top of this primer, what I have been using throughout the entire year on my clients, mainly not on myself, are these two brightening products. Now, the first one is super famous. This is by NARS. It's the Orgasm Illuminator. It's just a gorgeous product. It's been talked about over and over again. It does exactly what it says. It completely illuminates your skin, whether you apply it before the foundation or you mix a few drops of this with your foundation. It definitely does not suit very fair skin, so it goes out to the Mediterranean and darker skins, but it definitely brings that glow out on your face. So absolutely loved using this on my darker skin clients this year. And so the equivalent of this for fairer skin has been the Bright Here, Bright Now Instant Radiance Energy Boost Balm by Soap & Glory. So this has just been really amazing. It's not only does it brighten the skin, but also it really gives you a rested look. So this you can definitely use on all kinds of skin tones. It's not going to make a difference. It's not like the NARS one. So it definitely made my clients look youthful and glowy, rested. I used it a lot on the clients who looked like their face needed to be energized a little bit, if you know what I mean. So it definitely worked wonders. I'm definitely going to be repurchasing when this is. Moving on to foundation, two I have used the most on myself, not on clients. I did not use this on clients whatsoever, are the L'Oreal Lumi Magique and the True Match foundations. Now these two alone or mixed together are just my all-time favorite foundation for every day, let's say, by far. Nothing compares to these. I mean, for a while I did use the Maybelline Fit Me, but it just felt too sticky, like it just needs a lot of time to set. Whereas with these, you don't have the problem. Now, the major difference between the Lumi Magique and the True Match is that the Lumi Magique is definitely a lot more glowy and radiant. It feels a little bit lighter in coverage, just a tiny bit. Whereas the True Match tends to dry to a semi-matte finish. It's not as radiant, although if you look at it up close, especially in the light, you would see like little particles, little light reflecting particles. But I would say that I could get away with not powdering this, whereas I could not just wear Lumi Magique without powdering it. So this one is definitely more on the glowy side. So love them both. They both look like skin, even if you layer 2 coats of them on. They look amazing, absolutely love them. Now when it comes to powders, one that stood out this year is the Dior loose powder. It's supposed to be transparent. It's pretty transparent, I would say. The shade that I have is 003, transparent. I loved it for setting my foundation mainly because it feels super light, it doesn't cake up on the skin, it photographs beautifully, really, really nice in photography, provided you use it very sparingly. I also use it a lot to set my concealer, so all in all, great loose powder. I mean, it does the job, and it was actually the first time I was experimenting with loose powders on myself. I tend to only use them on clients, so I'm pretty happy with this purchase, and yeah, I can't wait to explore some other brands now that I'm into loose powders. For bronzer and contour, I've talked about these in a blog post entitled Less Talked About and Hyped Up Products. So this brand you find in Qatar at this very famous beauty supply store called Fitwell. Thing about this brand is that it's super affordable, and some of these compact powders are just, their shades are really amazing. Some of them beat MAC. I mean, I put this one, which is the shade A12, next to MAC's Studio Fix pressed powder in C8. I put them next to each other. They look very similar in the pan. Now, you apply the Forever 52 A12 as a contour and a bronzer, and you try to do the same on the other cheek with MAC's Studio Fix in C8. You are going to hate the MAC Studio Fix one. Very simply because it tends to very easily look muddy and ashy, even on me. Whereas if you look at it in the pan, it's supposed to be the perfect contour shade for me. It did not work for me. I do not like this powder. Whoever I've used it on for my clients, it has not worked. Maybe it would work as a setting powder on much deeper skin tones, or as a highlighter under the eyes for a very deep skin tone. I don't know. All I know is that for people in my kind of skin tone, it did not do the trick. So this is where this powder comes through and saves the day, because I use it so much. And here, I mean, in Qatar, in the Middle East in general, this is a very common kind of skin tone, what I have. So I have another one just like that in my kit that I use pretty much on every client. I would say on 95% of my clients, so love it. Moving on to blush, the two that stood out this year for me, well, one of them I bought a long time ago, not in 2014, but I've only really used it last year, is the Sleek. This one is a limited edition blush. It comes from the Caribbean collection, Aruba. Wait, no, Aruba is the name of the shade of blush. So it comes from the Caribbean collection by Sleek. And it's like the most amazing orange you'll ever see. And I know it can look super scary in the pan. Let's see if I come up close. You can see it better. So it does look super orange. Even on camera, I don't think it's picking it up. It looks almost like neon orange. And it just looks amazing on the cheeks. I mean, when you apply it with a proper powder, you don't pack it on, of course. It revives your face like crazy, especially in the summer. This looked so good when I was tanned. So there's this one, and an all year round one would be the CATRICE Defining Blush in Love and Peach, which I have also talked about in my blog posts about the under talked about products. So it's a exactly what it says. It's a peachy color. It looks amazing. I wear it pretty much on a daily basis. I have another one in my kit for my clients. Love, love, love CATRICE blushes. And still on CATRICE, there's their Prime and Fine Highlighting Powder. This powder was out of stock almost every time I went to purchase it here in Doha, because there's only this one store that sells the CATRICE brand here. And every time I went, the salespeople kept telling me, yes, it's a bestseller, that's why it's always out of stock, blah, blah, blah. So that's what it looks like. And it is a beautiful highlighter. It looks like it's like a very, very pale pink, or a very pale peachy pink, and it's got the nicest light reflecting shimmer. It's super shimmery, but at the same time it looks really subtle on the cheeks. So I use this as a highlighter in general on the cheeks, on the cupid's bow. I used it as a brow bone highlighter. I use this a lot and I love it, love it, love it. And I love that it just packs on exactly the right amount of product that you want. Some highlighters, especially the ones that come in a pressed form, I find that they're supposed to be more concentrated because they're in a pressed form, and sometimes you can rub your brush inside that pan and you'll, you know, try and like apply it on the face, and it just won't go on. You know, it won't go on in the opacity that you want, in the quantity that you want, and it doesn't give that unified texture, highlighted texture that you want. So this is where CATRICE, the difference between CATRICE and other pressed highlighters that I've had, it looks amazing. It just applies the perfect amount of product on your face, and that's why it's definitely a winner. And oh my god, it's just so affordable.